Hello, Jimmy Townsend here again. Today I want to talk to you about how you can legally dispatch all of your debt and at the same time crash the debt monetary system and form lawful de jure government and courts. This little video that I make here kind of assumes that you know that the global meltdown crisis that's going on right now is a global con game. And the con game is to create a global corporate government that's really run in the background from Basel, Switzerland. If you understand how the Vatican, Washington, and London vector into this global con game as the centers of religion, force, and legislation, and that the coming scapegoat in World War III is going to be Tel Aviv, then you've got a good grip on what's going down in the world. So essentially, banking is a con game of exchanging liabilities for assets. Okay, now you wouldn't normally take and exchange a liability for an asset unless you were conned in some manner. You see, this is a silver dollar. It's real money. Moneta means to mint. Now, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, real money here today, what I'd like you to do is go over to my website at townsend.be and click on the bimetallism link and educate yourself a little bit as to what real money is, because the global financial system is melting down. It's meant to melt down. Wealth is not destroyed, it's only ever transferred. And right now, more wealth is being transferred to the very few from the very many than ever before in human history. This is going to cause an awful lot of despair, and you need to know your way out of the system. You need to know your legal way out of the system. And knowing your legal way out of the system is understanding how the con game works in the first place. There used to be an old adage, you wouldn't take a wooden nickel. So why would you take a paper dollar? We seem to have forgotten the paper dollar part. You see, there's no such thing as a paper dollar. A dollar is a weight of silver. 1 ounce of silver weighs $1.30. And if you ever see silver pegged at more than $1.30 on the stock market, you know that there's phony money in play. There's IOUs in play. And you see, this is your way out, is knowing how the con game is being played against you, knowing that you're a victim of constructive fraud, and being able to represent your case as such. So here's what you need to know. Banking is a con game of exchanging liabilities for assets. Anything written on a piece of paper is an IOU. It's an IOU. So if I came along to you and I say, hey, man, I'll give you an IOU for $10 of real silver, and you give me that there cow. And you say, Jimmy, well, I love you like a brother, but you look like a bit of a scallywag, and I don't quite trust you. You see, that's what it's all about, is trust for the paper. So how do the company stores pretending to be our governments get us to trust this paper? Well, you see, they don't. They force us to trust their paper and to take their liabilities for our assets, for our silver, for our resources. Hell, they even convert us to resources. We're nothing more than human resources to these people. So bankers, whenever they attack a nation, first of all, they form a corporation. In 1867, there was a confederation against Canada. Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition. Get yourself a copy and look up some of the definitions I use. A confederation is a conspiracy to commit a crime. What was this hidden agenda to commit a crime? A conspiracy is just a hidden agenda. And these are hidden agenda facts, incidentally. What they did is they formed a corporation and they called it Canada, and then they unlawfully assumed power as our government, as a de facto government. You can go onto the Governor General's website and read for yourself that the Governor General is the de facto head of state of Canada. Unlawful head of state. He's not the de jure head of state. Okay? So, our governments are nothing more than private corporations. corporations. What do these corporations do? Once they assume power as a government, they form a court system, their own little kangaroo court system. So if you want to argue with the company store, you get to go into the company store courts. And you see, they legitimize each other. It's a circular argument. And neither one of them has genuine authority, but they uphold each other's authority. When you're attacked by the Crown, you're always attacked by agents that say, oh, that's not my area. They claim to have authority when enforcing laws against you, but when you appeal to them and you say, who's responsible here? Oh, that's not my area. I just follow orders. Well, follow orders from whom? You see, they don't follow order from us Canadians. They follow orders from foreign bankers. So these bankers, they form a corporation. They assume power as de facto governments under claim of right and color of law. Now, you look those terms up in Black's Law Dictionary. I also have a book that I've written about this system. I wrote it a number of years ago, called Without Prejudice. It's online at GentileDefenseLeague.net. So you go to GentileDefenseLeague.net and read my book if you want to know in depth how this legal banking system works. Okay, now the corporation is run by the Treasury. Do this for yourself. Get your files back from the government under the Freedom of Information Act. Who do you make application to? The Treasury, because they run all the different departments. The Treasury's basically the seat of the con game. So the Queen comes into Canada. It's got her own corporation here. Prints out her own money. Calls it money. It's not. It's currency. Charges the system. Gets it going. It's a debt. And if you understand that the Queen goes around with her counterfeit money, it's not real money. It's a debt. Recall that what first passed as currency was a bearer bond. Said bearer on demand $1. If it was $1, it wouldn't say to pay $1. It just don't make sense. Look at the original Coinage Act and you will see that $1 is 371.25 grains of fine silver. All of our dollars have been stolen. In 1967 they converted Canada to the metric system and took the definition of $1 out of the Weights and Measures Act at the same time so that they could legally steal all of our real silver money and leave us with tiddlywinks, loonies and toonies. You see, in the last Depression, when all of their phony paper money crashed and was no good for anything but fire starter, a single $1 of silver could feed your family for a week. $10 could buy you a house in the depressed system where people couldn't afford anything. It went back to a loaf of bread for 1 penny, a beer for 5 cents if you could afford such a luxury. That's where we're headed to again. What's happening though is these bankers are coming in and they're printing this currency, this debt money, and they're leaving us stuck with all the debts. So here's what you do. Go out and get yourself a credit card, take it, and spend it on getting yourself food and supplies and everything that you need to do to set yourself up. Take all of your mortgage and everything else and write them an IOU. You see, all these people are doing is dispute their IOUs. So you get an IOU, okay? You put IOU, you put the amount of it, and you put your name on it. And you can even have it notarized and say to the notary, I just want you to notarize that this is indeed my signature. What you are giving them is value for value, IOU for IOU, okay? So there's the ticket. Remember that you tell them, look, you have value for value. A legal contract has 3 things. It has full disclosure. I might mention that you have not fully disclosed your con game that you've got here. The second thing is mutual consideration. Well, mutual consideration, you put IOUs, and I've given you back an IOU. You have value for value. You see, that's how you dispatch all of your debts in a monetary system. If somebody says you owe them something, send them an IOU. Get it notarized. Who cares when you're going to pay it? These people are not going to pay anything. The Queen prints currency that is backed by absolutely nothing. We have no fractional reserve system. They're just kiting checks. They do it down in the U.S. as well. And it is the same people behind it. Sir George Herbert Walker Bush, Sir Colin Powell put your armed forces into Afghanistan and Iraq. Think about it. Who's really controlling everything here? The con game in Britain, which is controlled from the Bank of International Settlement in Basel, Switzerland. So these people are doing this all with debt. And they leave you stuck with the debts. But they still keep all your assets, don't they? So here's the thing that we have to do. We have to give them IOUs for their debts. We have to, and this will crash the debt monetary system. Just dispense it all. Look, you're not taking my assets. You never put any assets. And stand your ground. Everybody needs to take these people into their courts and argue the same thing, because you know what? They can't just jail all of us. It doesn't happen. And then remember, we the people need to form lawful de jure governments and never ever let our systems be taken over by private legal system franchises again. Thank you very much. Remember, IOUs. Print your IOUs, get it out there, and then remember, you have the lawful right to defend your property.